tuning in. So we talked a little bit about the importance of breath control and how controlling the breath or healing the breath can actually have a knock-on effect on other systems of the body. So what I'm going to talk about now is a bit of the technical aspects of breathing. So we're going to start with why we breathe in and out through the nose. Now, watching back the video I just recorded, I noticed when I was speaking, I would speak and sort of inhale through my mouth. And I try my best to avoid that, but nevertheless, it is a very, very common habit. And in fact, one of the things I noticed living here in Spain, Spanish is what's called an aspirative language as opposed to a glottal language. And so the Spanish do this, they go, right? So if you watch a group of Spanish people speaking to each other, they speak rather quickly and they definitely breathe in and out through their mouth. Breathe in through my nose. So, mouth breathing is a very deeply ingrained habit in many people. Nevertheless, when we are born, newborn babies are anatomically unable to breathe through their mouths. That is why if a baby gets a cold and a stuffed up nose, it is so dangerous for them because they don't have the option to just open up the mouth and breathe through the mouth. They don't have the musculature. That's why their heads hang down, right? So something happens between infancy and adulthood that changes our breathing pattern. And it's very interesting because if you observe people who are habitual mouth breathers, you'll see certain characteristics or traits developing in the face. First of all, in order to breathe through the mouth, you have to drop the jaw and bring it slightly forward, and that causes a downturned mouth. And in fact, if you observe the faces of many older people, you will see that they look sort of like unable to smile, and that's often because of jaw position. Now, when the jaw is displaced, we start to get tension in the jaw, and that often is also felt here in the sternocleidomastoid muscle, which actually sits just behind the ear at the mastoid process and just behind the jaw. So certainly in terms of anti-aging, avoiding mouth breathing is a really good habit. In fact, mouth breathers are also more likely to snore, and people who have sleep apnea very often are breathing through their mouth because they have a slackening of these muscles around here. The glottis falls back and blocks the air pipe, and then they awaken because of a lack of oxygen. So, there are a lot of knock-on effects to an unhealthy breath. So breathing through the nose, first of all, it brings much cleaner air into the lungs. The nose has a chamber behind it because we see the physical nose, but in fact the nose penetrates right to the back of the mouth. And that chamber allows the air, it's called a turbinate, and it allows the air to circulate before it descends into the lungs. And that circulation not only warms the air, so bringing it to more or less body temperature, it also puts a little humidity into the air, so it's less dry, less irritating for the lungs. And the cilia that are on the surface of this membrane inside have mucus, and so they trap particles, dust, bacteria, viruses. And it's no accident that we have 1/3 of all the lymph nodes of the human body are in the head and neck region. And bearing in mind that the brain does not have lymph nodes. So all of the stuff that's inside the cranium has no lymph nodes. All these lymph nodes are all around here. Why should that be? Well, because it's a very convenient place for bacteria, viruses, etc. to enter into the body. And in these days of coronavirus, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to breathe through your nose. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, but my nose is constantly blocked, I have difficulty breathing in and out through my nose, etc., etc. Well, the journey of 1,000 miles always starts with a single step. Becoming aware of a problem is really 50% of the battle, okay? So your first homework is observe your breath. Every time you catch yourself breathing through your mouth, whether it's when you're speaking, whether it's when you're eating, whether it's when you're watching television, looking at your mobile phone, driving, wherever you catch yourself breathing through your mouth, observe, and then breathe through your nose. It's as simple as that. And when you make that observation, and this is where we really apply sort of mindfulness or yogic psychology to the whole process, don't berate yourself. Don't say, there I go again, mouth breathing. Oh. No, you speak to yourself as you would speak to a dear child. You say, there I go again, breathing through my mouth. And you just simply assimilate the information and make a small change. So your homework for now is to do that. Watch your breath. Breathe through your nose. Nothing else. Oh.